Yeah, so thank you, Stuart. Yes, I'm going to pretend to be Mita for just 6 slides here, and then I'm going to turn back into myself for the remaining 20-something slides. Okay, so I first got my introduction to the AAL when I started working for ITSO, and one of the first things I thought was, okay, well, I don't actually know what this is. So, and Googled it, and it's, turns out AAL is actually a not-for-profit company, and so I was really surprised by that. I was like, oh, it's Australian Astronomy Limited, so it's not for profit, and it's an actual company that exists, and they pretty much are based off of the decadal plan. So if you want to know sort of what the goals are, you have to go and actually look at what the decadal plan is. So I spent a little bit of time doing that and just like, oh, look, they do all this cool stuff. They're actually responsible for ITSO and my position, so that was great. And they I encourage you guys to actually have a read about it, because this is a funding, an agency that is, potentially might give you or your research group some funding. So it's good to know what they're trying to go for. And they were, behind or directly behind the Pleiades Award, and somebody can correct me if I'm totally wrong on that. But the Pleiades Awards were started, last year, 2015, 2014, and have been a really nice sort of diversity initiative across astronomy in Australia. Really great to see. So I'm not going to pretend to be a kind of full expert on the AAL, but just you guys need to know sort of they exist. What do they do? It's not just a black box. And their priorities are right now basically looking at this partnership to the 8-meter class Optical Infrared Telescope. So what does that mean for astronomers in Australia? And of course the Australian Sphericometer Array, and this partnership equating to 10% of the 30-meter class optical IR telescope. And this is just going to come back later on when we talk about which ones we are able to offer some support with at ITSO. And of course, computing and software capabilities. The AAO has, you saw a little blurb before about the upcoming archive at the AAO, so watch that space. And 8-meter class optical telescopes, I actually have this a bit in my talk as well, so I'm going to try not to repeat too much of what we've already heard. But we have Gemini. So Gemini is no longer a partner, and if you want to find out more, check the website. There are still some options available. We have 15 nights per year on Magellan until 2017B. So this is a really good way to maybe draw out your own schedule of what's available and where you think you might want to apply for time. If you're looking at, maybe which are undersubscribed, which are oversubscribed, and would you be happy with, Magellan observation, or do you need Keck with adaptive optics, as you heard Michael, or do you need something else? So access, Magellan and Gemini time goes to ATAC, and I'm not going to talk at all about the tax because that's coming up next. And Keck time has KTAC. There's a lot more information about it, and the nice little graph here actually just breaks down between Keck, Magellan, and Gemini how many equivalent nights, or how much time do we have available. And so for a long time, Gemini was a major player in Australia because we had this access, but that is going away. So you see the blue bar drop down 2016, and as of 2017, we don't have that big blue bar anymore. So that's your Gemini access. So you might want to start thinking about Magellan and Keck, and or director's time, or what other options you might have. So the AAL role, again, there's a lot of people that you can ask very specific questions about. I, just sort of did my own cursory investigation and read their website, find out what they've got going on. But it really is based off of the decadal plan and looking at, how can we look into different funding options and agreements, maybe purchasing additional nights. And I'm not going to say anything about what may or may not be coming in the future. So if you really want to know, you'll have to bug someone else at this particular meeting to see, if you want to find out, are we getting access to X? I'm not qualified at all to say anything about that. So I just want you guys to be aware that this AAL, they actually also have a Twitter handle, which is not on here. So if you want to tweet them and say, thank you for the funding, I'm sure that's a good idea. I'll probably ping them as well. And at this point, I'm going to stop pretending to be Mita Brearley, because I think I'm a terrible Mita. I'm going to go back to being Elena and just get to the next part of the slides. So, okay. So let me talk about something I'm a little more familiar with here, which is the facilities that are available to Australian astronomers, and that includes the ITSO facilities and also facilities here in Australia. I myself am a big fan of the AIT, heavily used Hermes and AAO Omega, and of course, working with ITSO, I've done a lot of reading about all the facilities that are available there, and can point you out in great detail where all this information is now on all the different websites we have for you guys. So just to ping our website, this is a resource for everyone in this room and your universities, so please use it. We have a lot of information up there for each and every one of these telescopes, the Magellan, Keck, Gemini, Blanco, and the data archives associated with those telescopes. So optical and infrared facilities, what do we have? We have sort of different, class size of telescopes. You've got the 8-meter class, which is your Gemini, Magellan, and Keck. And I've made little boxes that are not as well outlined as I thought they would be. But basically saying ITSO can get you information to get you started on these. So if you want to make that your sort of first stop, it can get you a lot of that preliminary information that you might just want to read up on before you go and ask questions at your instrument scientist or whoever. So you've also got, other places you can go. ITSO, for example, lots and lots of telescopes there, but we're not going to talk too much about them here. Blanco telescope, we also have support for at ITSO, and of course the AT. It's got its own special whole region on the AAO website, so lots and lots of stuff there for the instruments, how it works, Hermes, AAO Omega, all that good stuff. Then there's the 2 1-meter class telescopes. You've got the AAO 2.3 meter, Fox telescope, UK Schmidt, which is in the process of having amazing Taipan things done to it, which you have probably heard of intermittently. And the Blanco telescope, actually, there's a few other little telescopes around that you can get access to. And of course, the thing that comes up again and again is free data, right? So SDSS, TUMAS, all that good stuff. So just going through a couple of these telescopes and what they have. Gemini telescope, you've got the 2 twin 8-meter telescopes, and they're in Hawaii and Chile. So they're 2 twin telescopes, but they're spaced nice and far apart. So there's little maps showing it's basically all sky coverage. It's got a huge amount of the sky that you can observe from these 2 telescopes. And observing time on Gemini has its own little allocation process. And we used to have a lot more than we do now. We had a 6.2% share, which is ending in 2017. So we've got this limited term partner agreement right now. And if you want to know more about exactly what's available, check the website and see what you can get. So Gemini has a lot of instruments, and I'm not going to go through every one in great detail because I think I would probably go over time. But you've got optical and infrared instruments. You've got Gemini GMOS, which is Gemini multi-object spectrograph. It's very, very popular. And you've got Gemini North, which has infrared imaging, infrared spectroscopy, and you've got, high resolution. You've got a visual wavelength camera. So you've got a lot of different things available to you, and this is where it actually, actually happily coincides with the talk I gave yesterday for preparing. Is these are all things that you want to check really carefully before you decide, actually I need to go for this instrument because my science requires a resolution of 4,000 to something in mid-infrared or whatever you require. And if you do require the special Texas or Texas, it's not quite Texas, high resolution spectrometer, it does have this hours available, but it's a visiting instrument. So some instruments have special status or require special PIs, and you might actually have to be emailing people involved to see, can I get access to this instrument for my observations? So just because it's listed on the website doesn't necessarily mean you can easily grab it. And there's a lot of different instruments. I'll just say, we've got, in terms of infrared and optical, you've got a good selection on Gemini, and there's also the Gemini Planet Imager, which is pretty cool. It's got the high contrast AAO. So there is somewhere actual images of the little planets they've been able to find with it, which is quite nice. I've used those in previous ITSO ITSO related tweet sessions. So when you go to actually apply for Gemini, we also have a support website for that. So I've listed all the ITSO support sites for these different areas in the talk. And like I said, it is kind of a special case because of our limited term partnership is coming to a close. But there's Gemini Director's discretionary time, and the US NOAO has an open skies policy for all its telescopes. So actually, this is a great resource just to put in your pocket for whenever, not just Gemini, but any of their telescopes. So NOAO has a huge set of facilities available that is way outside the scope of this talk. But if you're looking for something that maybe you're like, oh, actually, I need to get to, check that maybe it might be something you can get through an open skies NOAO. And if you do have questions or need advice about how to get access to a Gemini instrument, you can contact the ITSO office. So just again, I won't repeat too much but from yesterday, but just keep in mind that there's resources available to you guys. So if you do have any questions and you're writing proposals, you don't have to just do it by yourself in a box. Ask us or ask somebody you work with or somebody who's used the instrument before. There's a lot of stuff available. So Magellan is also a 2-telescope system. It's got 2 twin telescopes, this time very close together, Las Campas in Chile. And the AAO, Astronomy Australia Limited, so make sure you get the acronym right when I say it. It's negotiated 15 nights a year for Australian access to these telescopes. And they do have slightly different instrument suites, but Magellan has a lot available. There's a huge amount of stuff in there. They have a Magellan AAO, which is a natural guide star system for the clay. So you've got the 2 little telescopes, or the clay and the BAD or beta. I'm not sure how to say that. BAADE. BADE. We'll call it BAD. Thanks. We'll call it BAD because Stuart says that's correct. But we have these 2 different telescopes, slightly different instruments, and you've got, I think probably the most commonly talked about is IMAX, which is a really, really versatile wide field imager. It's got long slit and multi-slit spectra, and it's just like the Swiss Army knife of instruments. It pops open and there's all sorts of modes available. So if you did want to use this, make sure you read it carefully because there's so much available. You'd really want to pin down what you're going for. So again, lots of instruments available. Probably won't be ready through them all, or run out of time. But we've got near infrared, we've got optical, we've got spectra at different resolutions, and if you by some reason need a really good multiplexing capability, you might want to look at the MOE, which is a multi-object shell, transforming the IMAX instrument actually to something similar to one of the Keck instruments, which is an interesting choice. So there's a bunch of really cool stuff in there. Yeah, so we're not going to have time to go through all of it by any means, but there's also fiber-fed multi-object. You've got multi-slit, and of course there's planet finder spectrograph, which is a very high resolution shell. And if you need it, you can only get it through collaborative arrangements with the instrument team. So this is lots of interesting things to read about. If you do want to apply for it, it's currently closed, but you can start thinking about when the next call might come available. And we'll be using the AAO's lens proposal system. So that's going to appear quite a lot in some of these slides as well, because we're trying to sort of, I think, standardize is the right word. And Lens is an account-based system with user registration, so you can just go ahead and register and should be able to do all your applications for Magellan for that. Works reasonably well. I haven't done any of the programming on the Lens system. So Keck, we also have 15 nights per year. AAL announced in 2015 that we'd be available to Australian astronomers for 2016 and 2017. That's this year and next year. And it's available by Keck through to AAL via the ANU. And AAL actually engaged the ITSO office to help manage this program and engage more with Keck. And what we have is actually you have ANU, Swinburne, and AAL, and each one of those places has 15 nights per year on Keck. So it's an interesting sort of set of availabilities through different locations, and KTAP will give you a single interface. And I'll not talk anymore about the tax. That's coming up next. So Keck Instruments, again, you have high-resolution optical, you've got multi-object spectrographs, you've got optical imaging and long slit, and you also have this Keck I and Keck II. So different instruments available on Keck I and Keck II, and there was recently a reassignment. I think one of the instruments got pushed around to make space or to prevent oversubscription. I won't talk about the adaptive optics because you just heard a really, really great talk about that. There's a lot online about it. And Keck Apply, again, the Keck Time applications have now closed, but we can begin accepting proposals from mid-August for the next session. Submitting instructions on the website. Just quickly, Blanco is also one of the ones we support, and we get 5 nights per semester on Blanco, and the Blanco Instruments, there's several different ones available, but the DECCAM imager is probably the one that you're going to hear the most about, especially if Kyler's still, yeah, there you are. So DECCAM, wide field optical imager, and I invite you all to check out the DES, Dark Energy Survey website. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Kyler can come talk to you about it. So proposals, again, through AAO Lens system. And there's a website for that. And if you do want the news updates on when these things are coming available and closing, that's something you'll get from the ITSO newsfeed. So AAT, just very quickly, we've got a lot of websites for the AAT instruments and about it. Am I running out of battery power? Speak the right way. So AAT, you've got Hermes, you've got AA Omega, and if you need to apply for any of these cool instruments, I'll just go a little bit faster so we don't run out of time. we've got the ATAC, so you're proposing through the lens system, and you've got special support websites for that. And all the time on the AAT is Australian, so this should be a very good way to get extra time for. And do not underestimate service proposals here, because service proposals at the AAT can be very, very powerful. So I recommend you guys look into that. ANU 2.3 meter. It also has a lot of different instruments, but it's allocated by a special time assignment committee, and you have to have a PI from ANU or another institution that's on their list that's contributed. So if you want to use WIFES, which is the most popular 2.3 meter instrument, make sure that you've taken that into account, and you've either got a collaborator or know someone who can introduce you. ANU SkyMapper, just mention really quickly, this is going in the direction of free data. This is not something that you'd be able to apply for. It's a survey. The Fox telescope, fully robotic. And ANU astronomers will just get 10% time for free. Everybody else has to go through the website. And there's also, just in Western Australia, we have the ZADCO, which is fully robotic. And it has an imaging detector, which can be good for very bright observations. So just, again, archives, because you haven't heard enough about archives. We do have our own ITSO archives link for all those telescopes that we support. And don't forget to apply elsewhere. So ITSO, Director's Discretionary Time, which you've heard of. In the case of Gemini, this can also be for other telescopes. And NOAA Open Skies. Yeah, that's all. So, okay, thank you very much.
Well, that's a lot of facilities when you think about it. It's a very diverse portfolio of instrumentation facilities that Australian astronomers do enjoy access to, so don't feel that your choices are too limited in any way. So any questions for Elena, specifically about that, or indeed about AL?
Well, yes, for an example, if I want to apply for the service time on Omega, what's the procedure for that?
Go to the AAT website and check out what the service proposal deadlines are. So they have similar sort of deadlines every year. I've applied for several, but it's always just check. In the case of the AAT, just always check the website. They've got all the updates on there.
Particularly switch.
Anytime?
Anytime.
Yeah, so that there are no deadlines. Or
And once the schedule's out, you can decide which service lot.
It's a rolling proposal now.
Can I just make a comment on it? So there are slots in the observing schedule which you can see because they're online.
Yeah.
Where the surface observing is done. So if you've got a particular instrument and that you're interested in getting a couple of hours on, look and see when it's scheduled. Get something in reasonably far in advance. It'll then get ranked. It goes onto a list, and the highest ranked objects that fit with that service time get done. It's as simple as that.
And then you can contact the support astronomer as well. Find that on the schedule.
The other thing I'd say about the service thing is the other aspect is that you need to get in early so that we don't have a service queue and go, there's nothing, no one wants to observe this instrument a month in advance. And we'll just,
the sooner the better.
Yeah.
So what's the plan after 2017 for telescopes? Like, are you going to keep on getting time?
I will deflect that to the AL.
Sure, do you want to comment on?
So we will continue to buy Magellan, and at least in the short term, we will continue to buy Keck II. But we're very enthusiastically looking to get something longer term and more substantial.
Like in a plan of joining Keck or something as a partner kind of thing, is being discussed at all?
Well, we have a very strong preference for a partnership rather than just buying nights. Buying nights, we just ship a bunch of money offshore and we get the allocated nights. we're in a partnership. What will happen is there'll be opportunities to develop instrumentation and actually participate in the the governance and management of the telescope. So that's clearly a much better option, particularly since places like AAO have terrific instrument building programs, and we want to make sure that those instrument building programs are going somewhere, not going somewhere. So if we don't have a partnership, we're cut out. Well, not totally cut out, but there's not as many opportunities. I'm going to say a little bit more just about the landscape. It's complex.
So I think on that basis, thanks very much, Joanna, for that great summary.